All
There we
right,
go.
joining us now is KHOU 11 energy expert Ed Hers, and we are talking that Deer Park pipeline explosion made national headlines. And right now we're like into day 3 of all of this, and they've dug these huge trenches, hundreds of feet, maybe 1,000 feet plus back, north and south of the actual fire. So we're going to take a look at that video now. What are you seeing? What do you think they're doing there?
So what they're trying to do is get to cooler portions of the pipe so that they can make a cut in the pipe or tap into it with a valve so that they can cut off the flow of product to the fire. They can do this maybe by inflating a bladder in the pipeline or by filling it with an inert gas such as nitrogen, or perhaps making a more drastic cut and installing a real valve there. Um, they obviously are still working on it. We don't know what they've chosen, but the goal is to stop the flow of material to the fire itself, and then allow that area to cool down so that they can get in and replace that section of pipe.
Okay, so when you say put a gas in, we've heard nitrogen maybe. How does that work for the average
The,
Joe?
right. So the nitrogen is not flammable. It's inert. It essentially begins to starve the fuel of the oxygen needed to burn. It's also much easier, if you will, to be able to weld and cut through pipe with torches with nitrogen in place, because that starves the hydrocarbon of the oxygen needed to combust.
Okay, and then the stoppage, we've heard that term. That's the cap you're talking about. It's like a little valve, something you stick in there.
Right. A stopple is a saddle valve that sits on top of the line. It essentially becomes a hot tap. Uh, we see this at home. And in fact, when you install an ice maker and tap it into your cold water line and then feed your refrigerator in that fashion.
Okay, all right, sort of an industrial version of that. Um, some folks will say, Jeepers, it's been 3 days. They've turned the source off. How come it's still burning? Why can't you just turn the tap off like you turn the tap at your house?
Well, remember, this is natural gas liquids. And so they had 20 miles of pipe filled with a liquid under high pressure. And the pipe itself is 20 inches in diameter. That's an awful lot of product to burn through. And it's going to take a lot of time to empty that amount of material out of the pipe.
Do you think once they start reviewing all of this, that there may be any changes in the distance of those valves?
Well, certainly I would expect they're going to review this on a couple of different measures. One is to install better barriers around this particular area. You know, my bet is that this pipe was installed back when this area was a pasture. There was no Walmart anywhere around, no houses around. There are anywhere from 7 to a dozen pipes in this right of way. Yes, they're going to be looking at better isolation of the pipe, or better ability to isolate sections of the pipe, and they'll be looking at better security for the above ground equipment.
Okay, so maybe valves that are closer together. Okay,
Exactly. Again, I expect that this pipe was done years ago, like most of the pipes in the Pasadena, Deer Park, Lamarck, Friendswood area. And it takes some discipline for the pipeline owners to go back and check the risk assessment, if you will, every year.
okay. So if they were installed decades ago, the biggest threat back then might have been a cow.
A cow.
The world's changed.
It has. Yes.
Uh, Interesting note that came from Energy Transfer, the owner of the pipe. The note talked about them registering a drop in pressure in that line, and that they immediately, went to reduce, I guess, the flaring. Explain what that means, and then also the other big question is it that sensitive? The suggestion almost is that they noticed the drop in pressure, perhaps even before anyone called them up and said, "Oh my God, a car ran into the pipe valve." and now it's on fire. Is that possible?
It absolutely is. They know what the pressure is upstream. They know what the pressure is downstream. If there's a delta, a difference, if you will, then the computers, the sensitive will pick this up on the sensors and report that back to the operating console right away. They'll begin the process of shutting it down, but again, with a 20-mile stretch carrying a huge amount of material, shutting it off in one place doesn't mean that you've removed 20 miles of product from a 20-inch pipe. That's a lot of material.
But the equipment is sensitive enough, the technology now, that they would register a dramatic change in pressure,
They will, and it doesn't have to be that dramatic. A couple of 3% is enough to tell the operator something's wrong.
and they will know it almost like that.
They will know it right away. If they're using, and I'm sure they're using up-to-date equipment. I'm sure alarm bells went off in the operations and control office.
Okay. And we've also heard that there may be another dozen or so pipelines in that utility easement, that big kind of green right of way of grass there. What are the concerns that the neighboring pipelines might be compromised because of this fire, and what would be happening to, you know, protect against problems there?
I'm sure those operators are checking their pressures as well. They may have even cut the flow of their own product through there, pending opening up this trench around the energy transfer line to see if there's been any collateral damage. We saw this with the Brazoria pipeline explosion last summer. There were several pipes in the area, and one certainly was involved, and it compromised a couple of others. They'll be able to see more of this once the fire is put out, once the hazard is removed, and everything's cooled off, and they can get in there and dig it back.
So what do you expect to see next? That they will dig a big hole around the compromised area?
Yes, indeed. They'll be digging upstream and downstream of it to get to good pipe. They'll cut out the compromised section, reinstall it, uh, do something with the valving that's in place, and I'm sure the neighbors will take that opportunity to take a look at their pipes as well and see if they've maintained physical integrity throughout this uh,
Okay.
problem.
Some people have asked because Energy Transfer, I mean, the day, hours after this happened, put out a 1-800 phone number, said if you're impacted, you live in this evacuation zone, give us a call. We will help with per diems, lodging, all of that sort of stuff. There's some that have wondered that if you take advantage of that, does that uh, prevent you from considering maybe legal action or anything else further down the line?
No, I don't think so. Of course, that's obviously a question for a lawyer, but Energy Transfer wants to make this right and make everyone around them whole. I mean, they're a member of the community just like everybody else. Um, they may they may have some of their workers who have been compromised by this explosion as well, and they're going to have to help the folks who've lost their houses and their property in the area. Uh, this is a relatively and thankfully small incident without uh, major injuries or any deaths. So I think the company is going to move quickly to repair the pipe as well as repair everybody's pocketbook.
Okay. Perhaps both the smart as well as, if you will, the moral action to take in a situation like this.
Again, this is part of the community, and Pasadena, Deer Park, Lamar, everything along our petrochemical refinery complex. This is the heart of America's petrochemical and refinery complex. Everybody lives there. We all work together. Um, this is what being a good citizen is all about. Fix it and make everyone whole.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Ed Hers, KHOU 11 News energy expert. We appreciate your time and your insights. Thanks.
Thanks, Sherman.